everyone. I hope you enjoyed my reading of The Witch's Light, Chapter 1. So if you enjoyed it and if you liked my reading, here's Chapter 2. This book is called The Witch Light and it is from Susan Fletcher. If you haven't heard Chapter 1, then maybe go back on my channel and watch Chapter 1. I'm going to read you Chapter 2 today. From the Aggro Inn in Stirling to Jane. I write this letter from Stirling. It is poor ink, so forgive the poorer hand. Forgive too my bad humour. My supper was barely a crumb, and my bed is damp from the cold or the previous sleeper. What's more, I was hoping to be further north by now, but the weather remains unkind. We've kept to the lower roads. We lost a horse 2 days ago, which has stolen hours or days from us. It's a wildly unsatisfactory business. Let me go back a while. You shall know each part, as a wife should. I left Edinburgh on Friday, which seems many months agone. I am indebted in a gentleman who lent me a sturdy cob and some funds, so I cannot give him his name. I hate to withhold truth from you, but it may endanger him to write much more. I will simply say he is powerful, respected and sympathetic to our cause. Indeed, I glimpsed an embroidered white rose on his coat, which we all know says Jacobite. We drank to King James' health and his speedy return, for he will return. We are few in number, Jane, but we are strong. My thoughts were to make for a place named Inverloch on the Scottish northwest coast. It has a fort and a settlement. Also, it is a mere day's journey from the ruined Glen of Glow. The gentleman assured me that its governor, Colonel Hill, is kindly and wise, and I might find lodging with him. But I fear the snow prevents this. I travel with 2 servants who speak of thick blizzards on the moor that lies between the fort and here. They're surely men and locals. As I ride, they are in the town's dens. Drinking, I don't trust them. I'm minded to insist we take this snowy route no matter, for we have ridden this far through such weather. But I cannot risk another horse, nor can I serve God if I perish on a run-up moor. So tomorrow our journey takes us west. Inverloch must wait. We are headed now for the town of Inverary, a small Campbell town on the shores of Loch Fyne. The coast has a milder climate, I hear. I also hear the Campbells are strong and wealthy people. I hope for a warmer bed than this one that Stirling provides. There we might fatten our horses and ourselves and rest and wait for the thaw. It sounds a decent resting place, but I must be wary, Jane. These Campbells are William's men. They are loyal to him and support him. They would not take kindly to my course. They'd call it treachery or worse, so I must hide my heart and hold my tongue. Wretched weather. My cough is thicker, and I worry my chilblains might come back. Do you remember how I suffered from them in our first married winter? I would not wish for them again. I feel far from you. I feel far from the island, also from like-minded men. I write to them in London, asking for their help, in words or in funds to assist me, but I hear nothing from them. Perhaps this weather slows those letters. Perhaps it slows these letters to you. Forgive me. I'm maudlin tonight. It is hunger that troubles me, for food, for warmth, for little hope in these hopeless times. For you, too, my love. I think of you reading this by the fire in Glasgow, and I wish I could be with you, but I must serve God. Dear Jane, keep warm and dry. I will endeavour to do the same, and shall write you too from Inverary. It may be an arduous journey, so do not expect a letter in hassle. But have patience, as ye have other virtues, for a letter will come. In God's love, as always, Charles. Chapter 2. The black seed also, such as in their sleep are troubled with a disease called ephilates or incubus, or we do commonly call it the nightmare of pony. There are ones who wait for me, I know this. I know too who they are. They are the ones whose heart were like my own, wild, unfettered hearts. Cora's heart was the wildest, rushing like clouds can do, and she waits. So does her mother, who I never met, but I know she's tiny and has pondwered in her hair. Mrs. Fothers too, for I once saw her looking at the evening star, and she wept at it, and I thought her heart is like my heart, so I reckon she's waiting. There is a plum-faced man. It was his heart which killed him in the end, I think, for it was a tired heart when I knew him, and that was years ago. Also the boy I found crouching, who feared the baying dogs, waits patiently for me. So does our pig. I wish I'd never killed him, with his velvety snout, but I did. And now he waits for me, as if he never minded dying. He waits, flaps his ears. And my mare, my speckled, big rump mare, who I loved and loved and loved. I see her looking at me, and I think I love my speckled mare. And them, of course, the MacDonalds of Glencoe, or the ones I could not save. The newly dead Scotsmen, who wait in the line with a fresh musket wound sealed up, and their skin uncut. And they will say my name as I cross to them, not Witch, not Sassenach. These are the lives I loved, who are dead now. Their bodies are worms, but their souls are free, and in the other airy world, the realm, Cora called it, where we all go one day. Our death is a door we must pass through, and it seems a good thing by how she spoke of it. Calm and good, part of life, which it is. But I was wrong to think it was calm, or I was wrong to think it always happened that way. I was a child with a child's mind, and I thought all deaths were by lying down, closing our eyes, and a sigh. I thought that sigh would be lifted by the wind and carried. But no, only when I killed the pig and it squealed did I think it can hurt, be bloody and sad. That was an awful lesson I learned. After it I was wiser. Cora said my eyes turned a darker shade of grey. It can hurt, yes. And I have seen more hurtful deaths than I've seen gentle ones. There was a nest which fell, and all those little feathered lives were licked up by the cats. In Hexham, a man was put in stocks and had stones thrown at him until he was dead. And for what? Not much, most likely. Also, there was the widow Finton, and I don't know how she died, but it took a week to know that she was gone. They smelled the smell and found her. The door we must pass through. I believe that part. I believe it. For I have seen souls lift up and move away. But not all deaths are peaceful. They are lucky who get those. We do not get them, peaceful deaths. Not us, who have Hag as a name. Why should we? When they say we worship the devil and eat dead babes, when we steal milk by wishing it. We have no easy ends. For my mother's mother, they used a ducking stool. All the town was watching as she bobbed like a holy boat and then sank under. I imagined it in my infant days, out in the marshes with the frogs and the swaying reeds. I crouched until my nose was in the water and I could not breathe, and I thought she died this way. And would it have been a simple death? A painless one? I doubt it. I coughed reeds up. Cora grabbed me, cursed me, and plucked frog spawn from my hair. Then there are the twirling deaths, like the ones the mossmen had. I saw these ones. how they put the robe on you like a crown that is so big, and your hands are double-tied, like you are a king. Crowds hiss to cheer, and then there's a bang, and maybe some go quickly, but I've seen the heels drumming, and I've thought what sadness, what huge sadness there is in the world. And pricking, a dreadful word, that is a fate, they say, for us, for witch and whore. I've been afraid of pricking men for all my life, for core of us. She shook when she spoke of them. She made herself small and hid. Part of a witch does not bleed, she whispered. Or so the church says. So men prod our woman with metal pins, seeking it. I asked her how big are the pins, and she held out her hands, like this, like how fishermen do when telling their tales. A door, Cora said, that we must pass through, yes. But why these ways? Why with such pain in them? I wish we could all find a higher place with clouds and air, and close our eyes and find a heavy sleep. And that would be our death. No ropes or pins, no crowds or spit, just the wind, and a knowing that the ones you love are safe, that you'll be remembered fondly, and all is as it should be. That's a death I'd choose. But I cannot choose. It is chosen for me. It has been picked like fruit. Why fire? I asked the gallerer this. I asked the men who came to see my wounds and staunched them up. I asked the one called Stare, who has always hated witch. I said, why fire? Why? Please, not by fire. And Stare watched me for a while through the bars. I pleaded with him, I rambled, I begged, but he picked at his teeth, turned slowly on his heel and left this room saying, I think fire's best. Such cold weather, it would warm the town up. Don't you think? I shook the bars. I banged my iron wrists on the bars, and I kicked my pail. I screamed, not by fire, not that way. And come back, come back, come back, come back. I shook and I shook. I heard my words echo and his footsteps die away. So it will be by fire. Outside they gathered wood. I hear them drag it through the snow and the nails going in. Inside, I look at my skin. I see its scars and freckles. I feel my bones, and I roll the skin upon my knees so that the bones beneath them clunk, back and fro. I follow where my veins run along with my arms and hands. I touch the tender places inside my legs, my belly, the pink wrinkled skin between my toes. The realm where they are all waiting. I love them. Cora, the plum-faced one. But I do not want to join them. Not yet. And not this way. I'm fretful tonight, afraid. Tonight I breathe too quickly. I walk up and down, up and down. I run my fist along the bars so that my knuckles hurt and bleed. But the hurt says I'm living, that my body still has blood in it, and it works like it should do. I talk to myself so my breath comes out white, white, and when I sit tucked up, I hold my feet very tightly, and I rock myself like children do when they have plenty on their minds. I try to say hush now to me, to calm me, but it doesn't work. I press my eyes into my knees and tell myself that my mother is waiting for me, and my mare, the Highlandman. And won't it be nice to see her again? So hush now, I say, stroking myself. I have been so afraid that I have retched on me. It made me cry, in my hair and on my skirts, and I looked upon my hands. And when the gallower saw it, he spat, said, Ah, the devil is in you. Right enough, foul wretch. Like he was all manners himself, all clean, and he's never been clean. I tried to tidy myself. I tried to quieten down, but I was so afraid that night. I cried, and I hugged myself, and I vomited again. Above all, I'm afraid of the pain, for surely it hurts. Surely it is a pain beyond all knowing, and a slow death too, and such a lonesome one, fire. And when I sink it, it makes me wrap my arms about me, and I wail. My wail has an echo. I hear the echo, and think, poor, poor creature, to make such a sound, for it is a desperate dying sound. It is the wail of such a mauled and mangled thing, with no hope left, no light, no friend. I pull up my chains. Don't let me die. Don't let it be by burning. I rock back and forth like this. Still, I have a comfort. It is small, but I have it. I whispered into cupped hands. People live because of me. They do. They live because I saved them, because I listened to my soul's voice, to the song of my bones, the words of the world. I listened to my womb, my belly, my breasts, my instinct, the howling wolf in me. And I told them, make for Appin. And go, go. And they went. I watched them running in the snow, with their skirts hitched up and their children strapped on tightly, and I thought, yes, be safe. Live long lives. There. It comforts me. It takes the fear away and makes my breath slow down. When they tie me to the wood, I will say I have saved lives, and it will be a comfort, and I will not mind the flames. For what if that's the cost? My life or their lives? What if the world asks for that, for my small life, with its lonely hours, in return for the lives of 300 or more? I will pay it, if it means they are living, and if it means the stag still treads the slopes, and the herring still flash themselves in the loch in summer, and if it means the people still play their pipes, and still tell their stories of Fian and his dog, and the lords of the isles, and if the heather still shakes in the wind, and if it means that him, with hair like how wet hillside is still living and mending, then I will pay it. I will. Does he live? I think he does. In my darkest hours I worry he's dead, but I think he lives. I see him by the sea. On his side he has a poultice, forestail and comfrey, and he unpeels it. He sees he is healing, smiles, sings Korak. He presses the poultice back on. See, I'm calm now. I can see his dark red hair. I must sleep. It partly seems a waste of final hours of breath, but even as I think of life and love, and a stag with his fine branches, I have Gormsel in my head. How she said a man will come. I think he comes tomorrow. My days grow less and less. Let him come. Let him do his purpose, even if it hurts, even if it's pins, or his turn to say whore or hag, for I'm still living. Once I love, I'm still living. And so what pain can come to me? And what is there to fear? Lives mean far more than deaths ever do. It is what we remember, the life. Not how they died, but how warm and bright-eyed they were, and how they lived their lives. The Aggro Inn, Inverary, 26 February. To Darling Chain. You will be glad, I think, to see where I write this from. I have made it safely to the town of Inverary, so there were times in our journey when I doubt that we would. It was arduous, my love. It was wild with blizzards. We passed such dark, desolate water, and the wind howled like a demon at night. I thought of the stitched kneeler my mother made, remember? It says, so we say with confidence, the Lord is my helper, I will not be afraid. What can man do to me? And it is his doing alone, his loving care, which brought us to Inverary in the end. It is an attractive town, despite the weather, placed on the edge of Loch Fyne. It has an air of money and civility which is welcome at this time. My lodgings here are warm and dry. They are by the water, in a coaching inn, which seems lively by day and more so at night. My rooms have a fire and a window which looks out across the loch and its clinking ice. I take a rather childish pleasure in seeing such coldness whilst I am warm. I write this, and I see the blueness, and I wonder at the hardiness of these people who live amongst such mountains and wind. The Campbells are also generous men. Their legions may not be my own, but I have eaten well in this inn, and our 2 remaining horses, which have served us so well, seem as happy as I am for the food and the rest. I confess to being better in my spirits than I was. I have even eaten venison, Jane. I'm still picking my teeth from it, but it has a good restorative meat. On to my purpose. I have heard plenty of Glencoe. In the corners of the inn it is all they speak about. I dined and overheard such things that chilled me. The chief, they say, was shot as he rose from his bed. His lady wife was injured in such manner that she died naked out in the snow. Her rings, I hear, were bitten from her hands, so that her hands were mauled most savagely. Dreadful, despicable deeds. I know this from my landlord. You'd smile at think at him. He has the reddest hair I've ever known, and red cheeks. He brims with words, and I have been in Inverary for a mere afternoon, 4 hours at most, yet he has already accosted me more than once. Even as I arrived, I felt his stealth. He said, "Staying long?" I replied that I, like all travellers, am at the Lord's mercy, and that he and the weather will decide on my length of stay. I think he will pry, Jane, but this may prove for use, in its way. For if he pries with me, does he not pry with others? You may know plenty in time. Thinking this, I asked very casually, is that infamous Glen in these parts? How he liked that. He came near, said, what remains of it? Burned and butchered it was. His eyes blackened, and he leaned closer in. Mark me, he said, it is no loss. Those that were cut down in that glen will not be missed. He called himself then, for I am a stranger to him. So he said, what is your name, sir? You have not given it. May God forgive me, Jane. I spoke falsely, with my true purpose in mind. I did not give my own name. Rather, I fashioned a name from scraps that we know. I used, my love, your unmarried name, for what if they had heard of me, and my teachings, and my Jacobite ways? I could not risk the townsfolk learning where my sympathies lie. Charles Griffin, I told him. Reverend. Reverend? What is your purpose? You are far from home, friend. I said I've come to spread the Lord's loving word in the northern lawless parts, for I hear the Highlands are full of sin. They are, for the north of here, Catholics and criminals. Dishonest men. He polished his glass, shook his head, brimful with cruelty in barbarous ways. They shame us, and he said a finger raised, the north is full of traitors, ones who plot against the king. William? Ay, King William. God protect him. Thank the Lord he came across. A well-named revolution, was it not? I took a sip of my ale. I would call it far from glorious, but did not say so. He said, do you know of the witch? I was surprised at this. Who would not be? I swallowed, said no. I know that this country, indeed our own, has been troubled in the past times with the matter of witches and other black deeds on which I do not choose to dwell. But this was brazen talk. He said, there's one here in Inverary. She is chained up in the toll-booth for her malicious ways. I hear, he said, she crawls with lice, and her teeth are gone. She faces a death for her evil, sir. She was in Glencoe. Jane, my dearest, we have spoken of this matter in the past, you and I, in the gardens of Glasgow, by the willow tree. Do you remember? You wore the blue shawl that makes your eyes bluer, and I talked of enchantment. So we spoke of witchcraft by that tree. I know we disagreed. Men of my faith and profession know of it, of the devil's work. We know there are folk who serve him, perhaps not by choice, but they do. It is bedevilment, and a threat to a safe and civil nation. Some say no one who meddles in such way must be allowed to live, and so must be purged by fire or water for their own sake. Plenty think this. You know that I am with them, that such woman cannot be endured. It worries you, I know, my feelings on this. But do we not have enough foes at this time, Jane? Do we not have enough to fight against other faiths and false kings and wars without being troubled by such devil-lovers too, who truly knows their power? If there is a God, there is a devil, and there are both, as we know. There is enough wickedness, my love, in this world. It favours the pure parts of it to rid ourselves of the black. I know your heart, I remember, your blue eyes filled with water. You do not believe in witch, or rather you don't trust the men who call it out, I know. You think such women are ill, perhaps, that they suffer delusions of grief or fear men. You said you felt sorry for such creatures, in your blue shawl beneath the willow tree. I love that trusting part of you, that faith in ones you have not met. But there is evil, Jane, in this world, I promise it. It casts its darkness everywhere. It hopes to choke virtue and decency, and I will spend my life fighting to prevent this, as my father did. There is rightness pass. My life's purpose is to return all men to it, for us to walk once more in God's light. I hope I stay briefly in this town. It is merely a resting place, for I head north to this ravaged glen. This witch was there, my love. She was at the murders and saw them with her eyes. I am not keen to visit her, or to spend time with such cankered, godless peace, nor do I wish to get her lies. But I must remember my course. If she was at the death, then she must have her uses. She will have seen the red coats, and any word, even a witch's, is better word than none. It is late, past midnight. My pocket watch tells me so. I will conclude this letter with assuring you how much I miss you. They are small words, but to look out of my window is to see Loch Finn and the sea, and I look west across it, which makes me think of you. I tell myself the island is across that water. You are across it, and our boys, all that I love in the world besides God, keep strong. I know my absence asks much of you, and you endure hardship for being alone. Forgive me. I ask this, but I know that I'm forgiven already, for your faith and love of God is as mine is. I have slept in this damp bed, and I will talk to witches for his glory and for James, but I also think of you as I do it. I hope I make you proud. It still snows. It might grumble at it, but it looks soft and beautiful with you, my wife, in mind. My love to you from across Loch Finn and all that is between us. Charles. And that was chapter 2. Now I hope you can wait. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the reading, give me a like and subscribe. And chapter 3 will follow very soon. Bye for now.